Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Now, remember 2012? Not that long ago, right? Chris Christie, rising Republican star, the keynote speaker at the 2012 convention that nominated Mitt Romney. By the way, he went about 15 minutes before he even mentioned Romney's name. Now, though, Christie, he's supporting a different nominee in 2016, but instead of being a keynote speaker, he's often been a punchline. Remember this from the Ohio primary?
Your governor, Kasich, if you look at him, and I'm being totally impartial, he goes to New Hampshire. He's living in New Hampshire. Living. Where's Chris? Is Chris around? Even more than Chris Christie, he was there. Where's Chris? Right? Even more.
Oh, and this from last night. Trump, he's bragging about headlining a fundraiser to play down Christie's campaign debt.
So, you know, Chris paid off his entire campaign debt tonight, right? His entire debt. And Chris, you can't even give him a table and a seat. That's terrible. But he's a great guy. And Nabisco leaving Chicago with their big plant, they're moving to Mexico. I'm not eating Oreos anymore, you know that. But neither is Chris. You're not eating Oreos anymore. No more Oreos for either of us, Chris. Don't feel bad for either of us.
Oof. Christie, he's getting widely mocked for the way that Trump's been treating him. In fact, the late night shows, just about everybody else, they're having a field day over his hostage video, and I think it's a fair representation. Check out the Star Ledger and the cartoon. This one making fun of last night's fundraiser, Christie, the trained monkey, and Trump, the organ grinder. And adding insult to injury, take a look at these poll numbers. They have never, ever been lower. 29%, that's the grand total of people in the Garden State here approve of the job he's doing. You go back to 2012, November then, he was sitting at 77%. Now, even if nobody stays, guys, at that level, the fall has been precipitous. And I got to tell you, Dom, I know you're going to say he's had it coming, and you play the bully, it comes back and bites you, but...
That's pretty good.
But how bad, I mean, we've seen... Everybody gets campaign debt retired for them through, as Andrew say, marriages of convenience, everything else. But nobody ever talks about it and brags about it. How emasculating was that last night? You go there to have an event, and he's saying, I had to raise money for my poor, stepchild, little supporter over here. And then he says, don't eat any Oreos. I mean...
Well, that's what Donald Trump does on a regular basis.
To his friends.
To his friends.
To his enemies.
Right. So... get ready, and when you're in bed with him, get ready to be ridiculed publicly, and it's par for the course. That's what he does. In fairness to Governor Christie, the man on your screen, let's be fair. I told you guys from day one he was a phony and that it was never going to work, right? When he was riding high, this is what I said. So we have to be fair. When his numbers were in the 70s, they always go up for any public official when they're handling a crisis. He was handling Superstorm Sandy and so on. That's why they have back-to-back news conferences, because any official in America knows that's when your poll numbers go.
To be fair, though, even before Sandy, his approval ratings were well over 50%.
Yes.
Republican governor in a blue state here. A lot of people thought at the time in 2012, Andrew, that they had the wrong person at the top of the ticket. Remember Langone and others, big donors, they were trying to talk Christie instead of being possible VP to Romney, that they try and push him to the top of the ticket. It is staggering at how quickly his star has fallen.
And the night of his reelection in 2013, you remember his victory speech was national news. It was picked up by all three of the cable networks, and it was basically rolling out the beginning of his presidential campaign.
And he certainly embraced the moment.
He absolutely did. And then Bridgegate happened, and then he headed towards New Hampshire. And, I mean, if you're Christie after burning out in New Hampshire, what were your options in front of you? You're term limited in New Jersey. I think he's term limited in New Jersey.
He's already said he wouldn't run.
Certainly wasn't going to get reelected after Bridgegate. He's got this campaign that didn't go anywhere for the presidency. He's got the campaign debt. He needed a next gig, and he hitched his start in Trump's wagon.
But a lot of guys that got out didn't run to Trump. He was the first one, notable one at the time. And he has been an absentee landlord in New Jersey. I mean, he's never been around, first of all, last year, but even after he's left, There's been a lot of opportunities to have a presence, and he hasn't done it.
But forget about Chris Christie, the governor. Think about Chris Christie, the man and the politician. He didn't have a next play. He didn't have a next chapter that was already in his mind. I mean, he didn't have anywhere to go. His career in New Jersey is over. He didn't want to go into the private sector. He's not going to get a show on Fox. What else is he going to do? He's looking to get himself into the Trump administration, if that happens.
Do you think the precipitous fall, sure, Bridgegate was a huge part of it, absolutely. But was it also that if you play the bully, that when things go south, you got no allies, and more than that, people are waiting for you to fall? Do you think that's part of it?
Exactly.
Or did so many things happen to him?
Exactly. He had Bridgegate and so on. But Richard, he should have looked and borrowed a page from Rudy Giuliani, because all he did was the bully routine as per Rudy Giuliani. Did it work for Rudy in the end? He's measuring drapes at the White House and so on. Did it work? Did it work for Rudy? Absolutely not. And the same fall that happened to Rudy Giuliani is what happened to Chris Christie. So, to answer your question directly, yes, people are afraid of you when you're the bully. But you better believe they're keeping chips and scores. And when you fall, and everybody's going to fall, it's payback time.
And it's easy to forget where Giuliani's numbers were on September 10th, 2001. It was only after that, obviously, they became
I'm not
America's
saying
mayor.
they're the same
I
here.
hope for Trump's sake, though, that he's had a conversation with Christie and maybe Giuliani about this. Because at some point, being the bully comes back to bite you, and Trump's the biggest bully in politics right now.
Excellent point. And I'll only say this much. I'm not connoting the two, but Andrew, I'm talking to you, Mr. Cuomo. Look what happened with Christie here. When your allies are as afraid of you as your enemies are, just a point. Okay, coming up next, Anthony Weiner is back. No, he's not running again, at least not yet. But there's a new movie out documenting his rise and his unbelievable fall. And that fall could very well have started on RFL when our own Dominic Carter asked a few questions that began the descent.